Le Corbusier is a transnational serial property of 17 sites chosen to represent an outstanding response to some of the fundamental issues of architecture and society in the 20th century. The sites were implemented over a period of half a century. They lie in 7 countries on 3 continents and are said to attest to, for the first time in the history of architecture, the internationalization of architectural practice across the entire planet. In terms of categories of cultural property, this is a serial nomination of 17 sites. As you have also heard, this is the 3rd nomination to be presented for the work of Le Corbusier. The committee in Seville in 2009 referred the nomination back to the state parties in order to allow them to strengthen the justification of outstanding universal value. A 2nd nomination was deferred in Paris in 2012 to allow the state parties to develop, through a constructive dialogue with the World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies, a common notion of outstanding universal value. Between 2011 and 2013, ICOMOS undertook several meetings with representatives of all the involved state parties. The preamble in the current nomination sets out clearly how this series differs from its predecessors. Quote, "The task of describing the architectural work of Le Corbusier as an outstanding contribution to the modern movement is not simply one of enumerating descriptions of the elements that go to make up the series. Rather, it involves describing the attributes of value underlining the series and legitimizing the choice of each item," end of quote. The present nomination thus sets out precisely how the attributes of each component site contributes to the proposed outstanding universal value of the series. ICOMOS commends the state parties for the clarity of this approach. The series is proposed as an outstanding contribution to the modern movement, which, from the 1910s to the 1960s, in meeting challenges of contemporary society, aimed to instigate a unique forum of ideas at a world level, to invent a new architectural language, to modernize architectural techniques, and to meet the social and human needs of modern man. The series provides outstanding responses to these challenges. Very briefly, as this is a long series, I will show each of the component sites in turn. The Maison La Roche-et-Généré in France are a pair of semi-detached houses. They show the first use of Corbusier's 5 points of architecture, as well as the inaugural use of fluid spaces and colors. The Petit Villa au bord de la Lac-Léman in Switzerland demonstrates the new architectural expression of a minimum house to meet precisely the needs of its inhabitants in a minimalist way, and is also an example of a standard replicable form. The buildings of Cité Frugier in France, in a garden city, show the idea of minimal housing for a whole population and the relevance of prefabrication and types of standardization through using modules of 5 square meters developed in many different ways. The Maison Guillette in Belgium shows some of the first innovative expressions of a new architectural language of open forms and colors, and was a catalyst for spreading ideas in and around Belgium. While the Maison de la Weissenhof-Siedlung in Germany, part of an estate of working-class housing, shows new spatial possibilities offered by the use of concrete beams, as well as being a model of the transformable house with great flexibility in interior spaces. The Villa Savoye, together with its gardener's house in Poissy, France, demonstrates all of Le Corbusier's 5 points of architecture, as well as being emblematic of radical purism. The Immeuble Clarté in Switzerland shows the idea of applying standardized plans and structures to revolutionize middle-class housing. While the Immeuble Locatif Porte-Moleture apartments in France show the application of the 5 principles to an apartment block, as well as the use of glass to merge interior and exterior spaces. The Unité d'Habitation in Marseille was a major prototype of a new housing model based on the balance between the individual and the collective. It was intended for mass production and as well was an outstanding work of brutalism. The manufacture at Saint-Dié in France demonstrates how a factory could meet the social and human needs of modern man, as well as being a green factory where workers could experience harmony. The Maison du Dr. Corbusier in Argentina reinvented the 5 principles of architecture many decades after they were formulated, as well as exerting a fundamental influence on South America in terms of architecture. The chapel at Ronchamp in France developed a new style of sculptural architecture, as well as influencing the design of other churches around the world. The Cabanon at Le Corbusier in France demonstrates an extreme example of the minimum standardized dwelling. The complex of the capital at Chandigarh in India demonstrates a complete contribution to the ideas of the radiant city and the Athens Charter, which Le Corbusier developed. It had considerable influence across the subcontinent and was also based a modular design based on the proportions of the human form. The convent at Sainte-Marie de la Tourette in France further reinterpreted the 5 points of architecture. The National Museum of Western Art in Tokyo as well demonstrates the 5 points and was one of the realizations of the concept of the Museum of Unlimited Growth, but it also cemented ideas on the modern movement in Japan. The final component, the Centre de Récréation du Corps et de l'Esprit at Firminy-Verte in France demonstrates further examples of improved urban living. The majority of the components are well conserved and protected, but there are a few vulnerabilities, such as development near the Villa Savoye. And since the second nomination, a large stadium has been constructed right in front of the glass facade of the Immeuble Molitor, effectively blocking views of Paris. At Ronchamp, a new visitor center and monastery, both designed by the architect Renzo Piano, have been built into the western slope of the hill. ICOMOS greatly regrets that these developments have occurred during the evaluation process. Turning to outstanding universal value, as already said, this now has great clarity and ICOMOS fully supports the justification to reflect the history of the modern movement through half a century, to demonstrate a radical break with previous styles, to crystallize some of the major concepts of modern architecture for the first time on a global level, to show how Le Corbusier's works laid the foundation of architectural purism and brutalism, and how it presages the beginning of sculptural architecture, as well as attesting to a strategy of research and experimentation with materials and the standardization of components. It also includes several modules and prototypes designed to be mass-produced. We therefore support criteria 2 and 6 and the improvements made to the management systems. Finally, with recommendation for our recommendation is for inscription of this property on the basis of criteria 2 and 6. And the additional recommendations are set out in your document. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. As I have underlined at the beginning of our session, if there is no objection for the inscription and if we don't receive any amendment, we will just move for the adoption of the decision. I give the floor to the representative of Lebanon, which I know have a proposal for an amendment.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Tout d'abord, une petite proposition. Puisque nous avons du temps nous n'avons pas de temps à perdre, peut-être qu'il faudrait demander aux organes consultatifs de réviser leur présentation de façon à faire une présentation courte. Nous avons tous lu les dossiers, les recommandations et tout ce qu'il faut. Peut-être qu'avec une présentation plus courte, on peut gagner du temps. Ensuite, concernant le dossier de Le Corbusier, nous ne pouvons que nous féliciter de la proposition d'inscrire les œuvres de Le Corbusier, puisque cette inscription viendrait enrichir une catégorie sous-représentée sur la liste, celle du patrimoine moderne. Par contre, nous ne comprenons pas que parmi les critères retenus pour attester de la valeur universelle exceptionnelle du bien, le critère 1 ait été écarté d'emblée. Ce critère avait été proposé par l'État partie lors des candidatures précédentes, mais il semble que ce soit suite aux recommandations des experts de l'ICOMOS qu'il ait été écarté cette fois. Cette situation ne nous semble pas compréhensible. Faut-il rappeler qu'un nombre important de biens inscrits dans la catégorie patrimoine moderne l'ont été sur la base du critère 1, y compris la ville de Brasilia, les œuvres de l'architecte Victor Horta à Bruxelles, la maison Schröder de l'architecte Rietveld aux Pays-Bas, la Villa Tugendhat de Mies van der Rohe à Brno, les universités de Mexico et de Caracas, l'opéra de Sydney de l'architecte John Hudson, etc. Et enfin, aujourd'hui, l'ensemble moderne de Pampulha au Brésil, que l'ICOMOS propose d'inscrire sur le critère 1. Faut-il également rappeler la place majeure qu'occupe l'œuvre de Le Corbusier dans l'histoire de l'architecture moderne? Je voudrais citer Oscar Niemeyer, l'architecte de Brasilia et de Pampulha, qui écrit cet hommage. Quote, « Tous ceux de ma génération au Brésil avaient une admiration sans borne pour cet homme venu du vieux continent, chargé de culture et d'idées nouvelles. Chez nous, où nous n'avions pas encore une architecture des tropiques novatrice et non pas imitatrice, nous sentions que Le Corbusier était notre maître. » Et puis John Hudson, l'architecte de l'Opéra de Sydney, dans un courrier adressé à Le Corbusier en 1962, « I feel a personal connection with you, as you could say, an architectural son. » Madame la Présidente, comment comprendre que le comité juge que l'œuvre des élèves et des disciples soit digne d'être considérée comme un chef-d'œuvre du génie humain et que cette qualité soit déniée à l'œuvre du maître? Nous demandons donc que le critère 1 soit inclus dans les critères d'inscription de l'œuvre de Le Corbusier. Nous avons une autre modification concernant l'intégrité et l'authenticité. Nous en parlerons quand nous viendrons à la recommandation. Merci.
Thank you very much. May I invite our rapporteur, Mrs. Joe, to present the amendment? Sorry, representative of Portugal first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had 2 pages of lovely things to say in support of this candidature and how happy we are to see it. But as for the sake of time, I won't read them out, but just say how happy we are that Le Corbusier finally, and after a very serious work, will be in our list. And I fully support what was said by our Lebanese colleague concerning criteria 1, and I'll be supporting it in due course. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Joe, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As indicated by the interventions, we have an amendment from Lebanon, and they would like to include criterion 1 into the justification of OUV. And I would also like to point out that, if we could scroll down a little bit, please, that they have included in the statement of outstanding universal value the criterion 1 part, and as I understand it from the stance of ICOMOS, they would like to review this text, and if they could actually just take note of the provisional SOUV, as we have done for those before, where we didn't actually have these texts originally included in the original draft decision. And I would also like to point out that in the amendment presented by Lebanon, we have several changes in the following paragraphs. We have a change in the wordings of criterion 6. The architectural work of Le Corbusier is an outstanding reflection of the attempts of the modern movement to invent a new architectural language, and also in the next sentence to strike out to these major challenges. We also have revisions in the statement of integrity. The ones highlighted in yellow was actually implemented by the Secretariat after receiving factual errors. But we also have amendments that strikes out the sentence and has led to a serious loss of integrity. And also the last sentence of integrity, this enormous structure immediately opposite the site blocks views of the Bois de Boulogne, Paris, through the innovative glass facades and leads to a serious loss of integrity. This part has been stricken out. In the statement of authenticity, again, we have deletions of a paragraph referring to the new developments at Ronchamp. And if we go down to paragraph 4, moving out of the SOUV, Lebanon would like to delete the first recommendation of subparagraph A, but leave the rest all intact from the original draft decision. So I would just like to ask you, Madam Chair, if ICOMOS would be on board to take note of the provisional statement of OUV and then address the amendments that has been included in the SOUV separately. And then we would have to ask the committee if they would be happy with the recommendations with one deletion of the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative of Lebanon, you have the floor.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Je voudrais juste expliquer notre position concernant l'authenticité et l'intégrité. Il y a eu de longs débats entre les experts un peu partout dans le monde autour des nouvelles constructions à Ronchamp et sur la porte Molitor et leur influence ou pas sur la valeur des œuvres de Le Corbusier. Bon. Que les experts qui ont écrit ce rapport, les experts d'ICOMOS, prennent parti dans ce débat autour des nouvelles constructions à Ronchamp et sur la porte Molitor, c'est leur droit le plus strict. Par contre, je pense que le fait qu'ils embarquent le comité du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO dans une position en flèche qui va jusqu'à demander à l'État partie d'envisager la destruction de ces constructions qu'ils jugent sacrilèges, ce n'est pas envisageable. Le comité ne peut pas rentrer dans des discussions et des débats autour de ce point. Donc, c'est pour ça que nous proposons de supprimer carrément toute référence à ce débat sur Ronchamp et la porte Molitor. Bon, nous avons un avis, moi j'ai un avis différent de celui d'ICOMOS, les différents experts ont des avis différents, ne rentrons pas dans ce débat. Point. Merci.
Thank you very much. Now I will move to the adoption of this draft decision as amended. I see no objection from the member countries. So, we don't have time. Very short. Representative of ICOMOS.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want, the Honourable Delegate of Lebanon was asking about Criterion 1 and why ICOMOS had excluded this. I just wanted to point out that during the consultations with the state parties over a 2-year period in the development of this nomination, the use of, or the possible use of Criterion 1 was discussed in great detail and whether it was applicable or not. The reason why it was not in the end included was because it wasn't seen as applicable to the whole series in terms of how each of the component parts could contribute to Criterion 1. So it was not, if I may say so, ICOMOS's decision, but this collaborative process that led to the removal of Criterion 1, just for clarification. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ICOMOS. Now we can move to the adoption of the decision. I see no objection. I now declare decision 40-com 8B 31 adopted as amended. May I congratulate Argentina, Belgium, France, Germany, India, Japan and Switzerland on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of this transnational property. Now I would like to give the floor to the representative of the 7 states parties for a brief 2-minute statement. Thank you. Representative of France, you have the floor.
J'attends, Madame la Présidente, que les manifestations d'enthousiasme cessent.
Merci de votre soutien.
May I ask the representatives of those states to continue their celebrations outside the room so we can
Merci.
listen to the representative of 7 countries, Ambassador of France.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Puisque c'est la première fois que la France s'exprime aujourd'hui, elle souhaiterait rappeler qu'elle condamne de la manière la plus ferme la tentative de coup de force qui a eu lieu ces derniers jours. Et comme l'a rappelé M. Hérault, ministre des Affaires étrangères, à M. Cavusoglu, ministre des Affaires étrangères turc hier, la population turque a montré sa grande maturité et son courage en s'engageant pour le respect de ses institutions. Au nom des pays qui ont porté la candidature de l'œuvre architecturale de Le Corbusier depuis tant d'années et qui sont réunis autour de moi, Allemagne, Argentine, Belgique, France, Inde, Japon et Suisse, je voudrais sincèrement remercier les membres du comité de cette décision, sans oublier la contribution du Centre du patrimoine mondial, merci Madame Rössler, et de l'ICOMOS à ce succès. Je vais laisser la parole à la Fondation Le Corbusier et à son président, qui est le meilleur porte-parole. Mais je voulais néanmoins dire avant que, convaincus qu'en affirmant la dimension internationale inédite de ce projet, ils élargissent les limites mêmes du patrimoine mondial. C'est vrai pour l'œuvre de Le Corbusier, répandue de par le monde et dont elle a changé le visage. Au fond, chaque nouvelle inscription est un peu comme une nouvelle conquête de l'esprit humain sur la barbarie terroriste et violente qui nous frappe tous et qui a en particulier frappé la France à Nice une nouvelle fois récemment. Je donne la parole à la Fondation Le Corbusier.
Merci. La Fondation Le Corbusier se réjouit de la décision du Comité du patrimoine mondial d'inscrire l'œuvre de Le Corbusier sur la liste du patrimoine de l'humanité, même si c'est un moment difficile, nous le réalisons bien, pour des pays comme la Turquie ou la France. Proposée par 7 États, cette candidature véritablement transcontinentale a bénéficié de très nombreux soutiens. La Fondation remercie tous ceux qui ont permis son succès. Outre les États partenaires, Allemagne, Argentine, Belgique, Inde, Japon, Suisse et France, elle a été portée également par les collectivités territoriales, hôtes des bâtiments figurant dans la série, par les propriétaires, les habitants, les usagers, ainsi que tous les experts associés au projet. En plus des aspects qui ont joué un rôle déterminant dans le succès de cette candidature et qui ont été rappelés pour certains d'entre eux aujourd'hui, je voudrais retenir pour terminer 2 dimensions de l'œuvre de Le Corbusier qui expliquent le rayonnement dont elle jouit encore aujourd'hui. Le premier, c'est le souci constamment réaffirmé par l'architecte de traiter chaque être humain, quel que soit son rang et sa position sociale, avec dignité. Chacun a droit à de l'architecture de qualité. Cette préoccupation n'a jamais cessé de hanter l'architecte depuis ses premiers projets de villas jusqu'aux unités d'habitation d'après-guerre. Le second aspect, c'est l'optimisme. L'œuvre de Le Corbusier témoigne d'une foi dans l'homme et dans la possibilité qui lui est offerte de choisir son avenir. Nous avons plus que jamais besoin de cet optimisme aujourd'hui. Merci encore à tous pour cette belle réussite.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. May I invite the delegates to take their seats, please?
Très saisi, monsieur. Très, très heureux. On est content, hein? Ah bah oui, putain, très, très heureux. Ça va bien, enfin, ouais.
Merci, monsieur l'ambassadeur.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite you to take your floors, to take your seats, please? Representative of Portugal, you have the floor.